here we go with our pre-fall preview show, Texas at Michigan. Welcome, everybody, whether you're watching from the Texas Football at Voice of College Football channel or whether you're all right, I'm back. Everybody, yep, I'm here. I'm going to just bring everybody on just in case that happens again. We got TJ Ronin here from the Michigan channel, and we've got Matt Miller from the Texas channel. Hey, everybody, I'm dealing with hotel Wi-Fi and hotel hotspots, and my bad, but we're here. And I do encourage everybody to hit that like button as you come in. How we all doing?
Hey, man, doing great. It's funny, all pre-show you were good to go, and then, of course, when the show starts, we get technical difficulties, Just seems to be the way things are trending since yesterday, huh?
Oh, man. It is something else. Matt, how are you doing? You ready for this season?
I am. This is the most excited I've been for just a season in general probably my whole life, honestly, just because of all the big time matchups and different games. Like, I mean, we played Michigan this year for the second time ever. We played Georgia this year. We're playing Texas A&M again, which I don't know if any of you guys follow baseball with what just happened there. That just boosts the rivalry to another level that I didn't think it could go to. I mean, there will be death threats that week. There will be camping outside the Texas hotel. There might be fire alarms pulled. So this season's going to be fun.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I agree. With conference realignment, I think a lot of people were upset with the change of the guard, the new era of college football. But I mean, the reality is, and you hit on it, Matt, this new conference realignment, the matchups every week, primetime matchups, not only of our teams, but just in general within the conferences. This is going to be a hell of a year. We're like 50 days away from kickoff, and I'm ready to go, bro.
I think we're all ready. By the way, folks, if you have a comment or question for either of our panelists or myself, go ahead and send us a super chat so that you can get your comment or question highlighted and put to the top of the queue. But this game is not the first game that Michigan and Texas have faced off. There's this thing called the Rose Bowl and a ESPN Instant Classic, as they say, where Texas did defeat Michigan barely. And we learned Vince Young can really pound the rock. He can run the ball quite a bit. So whoever would like to start on this one, just the fact that these two have played before in such an instant classic. What does that kind of mean now coming into this?
I mean, it's cool because honestly, this is the game that made me a Texas fan. So I'm from Ohio originally, and we went over to my aunt's house like we always do for New Year's Day, and we watched the Rose Bowl. And obviously, everyone in there is rooting for Texas over Michigan because they're Ohio State fans. So I just jumped on that bandwagon, rode it. Luckily, we win the national championship. Funny story about that. I didn't even get to watch the game. I was too young. I had a bedtime. My mom woke me up after and said, yeah, Texas won. I was like, oh, thanks. And then I go on to realize they just played the best game ever versus USC. But this game was like the appetizer to that game. You have Vince Young, first time for national audience, really. And then he just, even after the game, says, we'll be back next year. They're back next year. They win it all. So that was a big game, honestly, for Vince Young, for Mac Brown, and the Texas program in general.
Yeah, I mean, look, I mean, Michigan had Chad Henne, Braylon Edwards, Mike Hart, like we were stacked too, and obviously if it wasn't for the way the fourth quarter transpired, you guys came back and got the victory on us. And yeah, I mean, it's an epic game, and it's one of those games where, the brands, and that's what made the last Rose Bowl so great for Michigan, was the Alabama-Michigan game, or Michigan brands. And then when you have a Texas and you have a Michigan brand, that type of matchup, I mean, that's marquee, big ticket, primetime stuff. So, I mean, that is what makes it great. I think, and also doing this home and home, because, eventually we're going to be traveling to Texas for a home and home.
Yeah.
This is what we want, guys. Like, this is like marquee Titans going at it. And what's beautiful is we were both just in the college football playoff. So you're looking at two teams going through a bit of a transition of a sense. You've lost a lot of players through the draft. We lost a lot of players through the draft. Yeah, it's just going to be epic.
Yeah, I mean, we were one Quinn Ewers throw away from playing each other in the national championship game. So, I mean, it's going to be a fun game.
Absolutely.
Yeah. The historical, I mean, just the fact that, not only did the two teams play, but they played in such a big stage with some of the most famous players that have ever been at either team, right? From Vince Young to Braylon Edwards, to both mentioned, really, really significant. And now headed for a rematch in just a couple of months now, folks. One thing I do want to, of course, do, while we don't have a super chat yet, I do want to thank Aaron Taylor for becoming a YouTube member here at the Voice of College Football. I believe this is probably for the Michigan channel. So thank you, Aaron, for doing that. Means a lot to us. Go Blue if you partake in that saying. And thanks a lot, Aaron, for doing that.
Yeah, thank you, Aaron. Appreciate the contribution to the channel. Everybody that obviously contributes to the channel, whether it be the members or our guys in the chats. I'm seeing our moderators now. We got Jackson Johnson in the chat. Shout out to everybody. Appreciate you guys contributing to the community. It means a lot to us.
It really does. So we were talking about this before the game. We're hearing some different over-unders, some different money lines on this. I think on average, I'm hearing that Texas is favored by about 3.5 to beat Michigan, despite the game being in Ann Arbor.
Yeah.
So TJ, you have something to say about this, I can tell. What do you think about that line there? Are they taking too much stock in Texas and not enough stock in Michigan's returning talent, or what do you think's happening there?
Absolutely. And I think what it comes down to really is the quarterback, right? I mean, they got Quinn Ewers. We know that. He's a dog, and he's legit. He's coming, so I feel like Vegas is favoring that. I mean, look, Texas lost a lot. We're going to get into it as we get into the show. You guys lost a lot of key players. I mean, I know you guys reload, so do we. We do have a bigger question mark at quarterback, and we will definitely get into that. But, for it to be a 3.5-point favor to Texas when it's on the road, so really it's like a 5.5, 6 point spread in reality. They typically give a home team, 2.5 to like 3 points. And so we're not, so they're definitely projecting Texas to get the dub. But, personally, I feel that's, I'm feeling like that might be a little aggressive by Vegas, but I guess we'll find out.
Yeah. So we talked earlier in video, and it opened at 2.5, and it's actually been bet up to that. Some sites even have it at 4.5. So I was surprised by that. I think 2.5 to 3.5 is fair, just because when you look at just the perception, I guess, for the common fan, Texas brings back their quarterback, 4 out of their 5 offensive linemen, and their head coach. Michigan loses all 5 of their starters on offensive line, their quarterback, and their head coach. So, I mean, that's a lot to lose in one offseason. So I think it's a fair line. Am I saying that Michigan's going to lose this game? Absolutely not. We'll get into that a little bit later, but I think it's fair. I think 4.5 is pushing it. I will say that at 3.5, I think that's fair.
Well, and if the money's driving it, that's just the way it goes, right? So Vegas has to hedge, Vegas has to make sure it protects itself. So, I mean, that's kind of where it goes. But, Yeah, I mean, look, and we'll hit into it. I don't want to jump topics because I know we're going to touch on things later. But yeah, so the line is what it is. Money's going to drive it. We'll see where it'll be very interesting to watch. Where does it go by kickoff?
Yeah,
And
that's what matters. Like that day, you see where
Yeah.
Vegas actually thinks the game's going to go, honestly, and where the big money guys think the game's going to go.
Exactly, and we'll have that covered because we're going to do another show leading up to the week. We're going to have a preview show with Matt Miller and obviously John and myself. So stay tuned to that. We are going to be tapped into this game all the way to kickoff. Get ready.
As Lane Kiffin said, get your popcorn ready. Couple of quick reminders. When you're doing your shopping on Amazon, go ahead and click the link on any of our videos to get Mark Rogers and our network a couple of bucks. If you're already going to be on Amazon, you might as well do it. The link's everywhere, and I'm sure Jackson will post and others will post the link in the various channels. And then also we have just rebranded, and TJ has been one of the people that's been spearheading this. We have rebranded on Twix to the VOCFB. So we now have the network itself being promoted on this with a new look, new feel. TJ, it's really coming together here. Graphics, everything else.
Yeah, we should actually share it.
Yep.
Yeah. So what we're doing, we're going through a relaunch. We just launched it July 1st. And, everybody who's watching, give it a follow. We are going to be having rankings. We are going to be promoting individual channels. We are going to be all things college football. It's going to be an excellent source of information. We're looking to be your source for college football. We are going to build this channel or build this page, and it's just the beginning. Those were my rankings, actually. I just put those out recently. So yeah, Hey, when you're good, you're good, right? And you can't, Victor's just happens to be the best. But so I'll be putting out rankings weekly, but there'll be other analysts. Matt Miller will be putting out rankings eventually. I don't know if he's got the email yet, but just so you know, Matt, that's coming down the pipeline. We're going to be getting all the analysts involved within the network. John's going to be putting out rankings. It's going to be a great time. We're going to be promoting this network. We're going to be promoting the different channels. And like I told everybody, and our channel knows this, the Texas channel may not have gotten this message yet, but we are building the channels, we are building the network, and we are climbing the mountain. So if you guys want to support and follow these channels and follow the Twitter page, we'd greatly appreciate it because the reality is we're all on this journey together, and we appreciate everybody's contribution.
We really do. And we're going to get what I'm going to try to do for the super chats. We will address them. Like I'm going to try to do it in the order that I have the show in. So we'll do it that way if we can. But we do appreciate people YouTube membering and super chatting and all of that good stuff. This is really a game. And if you watched back in January, I had a preview with Tony Altimore, who's going to be on at 8:30 p.m. Eastern tonight with Mark Rogers on our main channel for the Michigan-Ohio State deep dive. But I talked with Tony Altimore about Michigan versus Washington, and it really felt like a strength on strength and weakness on weakness type game. And it's feeling very similar here. And by the way, I am not saying here that Michigan's offense and Texas's defense are weak, because let's face it, these are two teams where all of their units are going to be probably top 30 minimum in the country, maybe higher. So Michigan's offense against Texas's defense, where I think Michigan's offense is returning some people, but also losing quite a bit to the NFL. Texas's defense actually returning 7. So interesting that Texas's defense is returning more than I expected when I looked these up. TJ, from your perspective, when you look at kind of the situation, O-lines were mentioned earlier. When you look at the situation of these two, what do you see? When those two are going to match up, what are some of the things you're looking at?
Yeah, so what I see is a lot of question marks, I think, on both sides of the ball, and I think Matt might agree there. We'll find out if he does or doesn't. And what I mean by question marks is obviously offensively, we have a question mark at quarterback. We don't know. There's no denying that, and that is a question mark for anybody. Anyone who says they know what it's going to be has no idea. That's a question mark. We are returning our run. We got Donovan Edwards. We got that. We got arguably the number one tight end in the nation in Colson Loveland. And we do have offensive weapons at wide receiver in Samaj Morgan and Tyler Morris. And we don't really know. Our exposition is not quite settled yet. There's going to be a camp battle. We're all going to, at least on the Michigan side of things, we're going to be tapped into that. But offensive line, a lot of our guys, although we do have new starters, a lot of them have reps and time on task. A lot of them have been rotated in. Some of them are previous starters like Miles Hinton. He was a starter at Stanford. Josh Prevey is an all Big Ten offensive guard. He transferred from Northwestern. Greg Crippen has been in the slow cooker for over 3 years, learning behind Drake Nugent, Oluwatimi. And then obviously Giovanni El Hadi, who's a top 100 recruit, and he's a dog. And we've seen him be 6 offensive linemen in a lot of packages for Michigan. So offensive line, we're expecting to be at a very high level. Again, these guys are they're seasoned. They're ready to play. The question comes down to quarterback. And then when we look at Texas's defense, look, statistically speaking, your pass defense was questionable and your strength was your run defense. And let's be honest, you lost your 2 top pillars in that run defense in the draft, and Murphy and
Sweat.
And Sweat. So that's the question mark for me. Like, I'm not saying you guys can't be good in the run again, but what I am saying is, in the pass game, which, mind you, if Alex Orji is our starter, the threat is not going to be his arm. Not that he can't do some damage. It's going to be with his legs. And we all know Michigan's a power run offense. So, but can your rush defense play anywhere near the level it did last year? And I'm not sure. And we also know that Michigan likes to just keep pounding and pounding. So you have some question marks, in my opinion, at the defensive line. And we're going to find out, on Saturday. So I think there's a lot of unknown with this matchup between the two teams.
I agree. I completely agree. The interior, I have no idea about Texas. We have like 6 guys there. Well, I take that back. There's one guy I'm sure of. Alfred Collins is at least going to be a good player. There's always that potential for him to make that leap that Tavondre Sweat sort of did from last year to 2 years ago to last year for Sweat. If he can do that, he can be a great player, because I'm always going to keep saying this story. Chris Ash came in under Tom Herman and was asked, who's like got that talent like a Bosa and Chase Young, and he didn't stutter. He said Alfred Collins. That dude's a freak, and he's never lived up to that. So he's the one guy that could take that next step. The other guys are good, like they're good players. Bill Norton, transfer from Arizona. Tia Sevilla, transfer from Arizona. Dre Bledsoe coming in as a young guy for Texas. I think he's got a chance. Sadir Mitchell is one that we had a lot of promise coming into this season, but then once people realize, like, no offense, he's not taking it seriously. It's kind of like what Tavondre Sweat was doing before he got serious. He weighs 370 pounds. He's not in shape at all. If he ever gets in shape, he is a freak. Like, every defensive line coach wanted him on their team, and he just refuses to get in shape. So Alfred Collins and Vernon Broughton are probably the 2 guys that I like the most, and will probably play the most at first. I do like Bill Norton from Arizona. He's good. The key factor to me, we just took him from Oklahoma. When Oklahoma got Dominic Williams, we got Jermaine Lole. That guy's a very good player. His issue is health. He's had one healthy season, and when he was healthy, he was damn good at Louisville. When he wasn't, never saw the field. So the interior is definitely a question. I will say, though, the edges, really damn good this year. I'm very confident that you have Trey Moore coming over from UTSA, over 30 and a half tackles for loss the last 2 seasons, and 22 sacks. Free. He's going to be good.
He's the target. We wanted him in the transfer portal. You guys, he's definitely legit. Yeah.
And then Ethan Burke's going to be really good. He was good last year. Yeah, we took him.
You son of a guy. Stole him from us, bro.
He's good too, man. And if you look at mock drafts, people realize the length and athleticism and motor he plays with. He's going to be like a second-round pick when he decides to come out. And then Barron Sorrell is also one of those guys too. Like, he's a nice rotational player in the NFL. He's not going to get you 10 sacks, but he's a 4 to 5 sack guy. He's good versus the run. So the edges are really good. There's no question for me there. Number 1 cornerback lockdown. Malik Muhammad is the highest cornerback recruit to step on Texas campus in the last decade and a half. He was good last year. He's going to get better. The second cornerback, Terrence Brooks, left because he wasn't guaranteed a spot playing time wise. So we got Cole. Yeah, we got Cole. from San Jose State. He's a good player, but again, that's San Jose State, so I don't know what he's going to do here. Gavin Holmes came over from Wake Forest. What are you going to say, DJ?
So you would say that's like a question mark or a little
Yeah,
bit
for sure. For sure.
Yeah.
Second cornerback, I have no you could tell me that's bad next year and it wouldn't shock me. But I do think it'll be pretty good just because you have a rotation there. And eventually, if they're just the two guys in front are bad, which would be Holmes and Cole, you'll just go to the 5-star freshman that you got this year in Kobe Black, which his brother was a pretty good cornerback at Oklahoma State. So if he can just be as good as his brother, that'd be good. Safety's another thing. We were worried last year because of athleticism. That has totally changed. You have Derek Williams, who the same thing. Malik Muhammad at cornerback coming in for his sophomore season at safety. He'll take a jump. He's a good player. He was really good last year. Michael Taff is like a ball hawk, but if he's one-on-one with someone, he can get picked on. And then Xavier Filsamy, 5-star freshman. I expect him to – he won't play much of a factor in this game, but if this game was week 7 or 8, it would not shock me if he's the starting safety back there with Derek Williams. So, and Jahdae Barron, I didn't even mention him. He's back. If he's healthy, he's really good. And Andrew Makuba. I like the secondary a lot coming over from Clemson. So the secondary I feel confident in. The edges I feel confident in. Linebacker, we have talent, but it isn't proven. Anthony Hill, you could tell me, is the best linebacker in the country next year, and I believe you. You could tell me he's average next year at middle linebacker, and I believe you. He has so much athleticism. Like their plays, and someone posted this on Twitter months ago, so I don't know if anyone could find it, but basically he ran himself out of so many plays, and then because he's such a freak athlete, he made up for it. It's insane to watch. So if he can ever like dive deep into the playbook and realize what's happening in front of him, he's going to be a phenomenal player. But there's definitely question marks for sure. This is definitely the side I'm concerned about. I'm not concerned when we get to the offensive side of the ball, but it's going to be an interesting matchup to see what questions get answered on both sides of the ball, honestly.
That's what's so interesting about this matchup is because I would think, John, we would argue offense is our biggest question mark because we're more sure about defense and you're more sure about your offense, which is why so I agree. And I think our next topic, John, is what is it? It's Michigan's defense versus Texas offense. Is that correct? Or are we going to hit?
Well, and who would be the impact player if you had to pick just one for each side of this ball here? Who do you think on Michigan's offense is going to make the big splash? Who do you think on Texas's defense?
I'll let TJ hit that one first.
Yeah, well, so Texas, Matt, I'm gonna let you cover, but for Michigan's offense, the impact player is going to be Alex Orji. We are going to lose this game or win this game with Alex Orji, and I am assuming he's going to win the job, and I understand that, but I do feel like he will win the job. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong, but I will say this game will depend on Alex Orji because we're going to get into the next matchup, and I think we're both going to feel like, it's going to be a clash of the Titans on the next side or the next topic. But I'll let Matt hit the impact player for Texas on defense.
Yeah, so I already mentioned him. There's another guy I'll throw out there just to get the name. Colin Simmons, freshman. Again, a guy everyone wanted, 5-star guy out of Duncanville. Just a freak. He's going to be a stud next year. But this year, I don't know. We'll see. But Trey Moore. I think Trey Moore is going to have a really good year. It's hard for me to see a guy that had, like I said, 32.5 tackles for loss in 2 years at UTSA and over 22 sacks. If you cut that production like in half, I think he's going to have a really good year, and I think he'll make a big impact. It's funny because Texas has been complaining about pass rushers for a while, and I think we have a really good core of pass rushers. I just wish we had one guy in the middle that I was sure of, because honestly, if like TJ said, if you can just run it down our throat, pass rushers don't matter. They can't get to the quarterback when he's handing off to the running back. So don't know about the interior, but I'm sure about Trey Moore and those guys on the outside.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting chess match because exactly to that point, like if we're able to run the middle and you guys can't push the pocket up the middle, and plus because we all know like when you have edge rushers, they can sometimes over pursue or they might not keep contained. And when you have a quarterback like we do who can make plays with his feet, that's why this matchup is going to be so damn interesting. Where you guys are strong is kind of like we have good counters and you guys have good counters where we're strong. So it's going to be extremely interesting to watch this game unfold.
I'll make one point on behalf of each team. So from the Michigan side, I'm very curious to see what Colston Loveland does to attack some of the weaknesses in Texas's defense, and what Kurt Campbell draws up to be able to do that. Like you said, I think Matt, your strength is on the edges. By the way, Michigan in 2021, the defense's strength was on the edges because Mike McDonald had to patch up some holes from the Don Brown scheme and the Don Brown defense, and Aiden Hutchinson and Ojabo were able to make up for some weaknesses that people didn't really notice because they did so well. So it's actually possible, Matt, on the Texas side, for those guys that you mentioned, and specifically Trey Moore. Oh my God, like he could really be an issue for a new. I know that Alex Orji's been around, but he could be an issue for Alex Orji and an O-line that's almost entirely going to be new starters, with the exception of Miles Hinton, kind of, and at Northwestern was a starter for a lot of football games, but it's still going to be quite a patchwork for at game 2. There could be some holes in both of those, and I'm very curious to see what Colston Loveland, 6'5", what they're going to draw up for him, in the receiving game.
It's going to be interesting because if he's matched up on Anthony Hill, I think that's an even matchup. Anyone else, I mean, if he gets matched up on one of our safeties, I don't love most of our safeties in coverage. The only guy I kind of trust in that is Andrew Makuba. But again, I don't know where he's going to exactly play on this defense. I know they want to be versatile and kind of switch up positions. So that will be interesting. But yeah, Colston Loveland's a beast. When TJ, you said he might be the best tight end in America, just say he's the best tight end in America, in my opinion. So it's going to be a good matchup.
Yeah, but it just depends. Is our quarterback going to be able to get him the ball consistently?
Get him the ball, yeah.
That's the question. I'm trying to remain mindful, because I don't know. I have no idea. I think I have an idea, but I can't say for sure. Listen, Orji might not even be week 1 starter. It's possible. I think he will. And if I had to put money on it right now and you asked me to bet on it, I would say Alex Orji. But you never know in fall camp, another quarterback could, because it will be a battle. They're going to compete. We have 3 quarterbacks competing for that position right now. And Orji does need to make sure he's consistent with his throwing. He has everything else. He even has some experience, but we'll find out. I mean, that's really going to be the tail of the tape right there.
So I will say this. So what would your confidence level be if I told you going into week 1 and you're playing the game that they're just rotating quarterbacks and Texas is the next week? What is your confidence level then?
So we talk about that on the show. Yeah, we talk about that on the show. We do not have our quarterback situation figured out by week 1, although we've also talked about it's possible they go with one quarterback first half, another quarterback the second half, because we feel like we're going to beat Fresno State. Yeah, and we do feel like we'll beat them, even though they're
a solid team.
Yeah, they're not nobody. I mean, they're a group of 5 team, but listen, if that is the case, then concerns we're going to be nervous that week, unless Orji shows out and it's all right, then we're going to be feeling a little confident. But it's definitely something. There's not a Michigan fan who could tell you that we're feeling extremely confident at the quarterback position right now, because nobody knows the answer to that right now.
Well, and I will say this game does remind me of Bama a little bit just because of the nature of that and Jalen Milroe. But I will say, Tommy Rees called that game terribly, and he called Jalen Milroe's season terribly in general because he didn't run him enough. You guys aren't going to do that. You guys, if Alec Orji needs to run 30 times that game, I bet they'll say, guess what, dude? You're going to run 30 times. They were not going to do that to Jalen Milroe last year.
Yeah, we know for a fact Sharon is not afraid to run the ball 30 straight times. We have literally seen that in practice against Penn State. They don't care. They will do whatever. That's one thing, I think we're very optimistic about with Sharon Morris. He's willing to adapt the game plan to win the game. He is not so far. So our sample size is only so big, but so far he's willing to evolve. Because some coaches are very late to evolve their approaches in games. So far it's been good. We'll see how it goes the whole season. Obviously, that's one sample size, but yeah, I mean, we're gonna find out. Man. I mean, I would say though they're not going to just run Alex Orji, Donovan Edwards, Khalil Mullins. I mean, we're kind of. I'll be real. We're pretty stacked at running back right now. It's probably our most loaded room, and that's saying a lot because we had a room with Zach Charbonnet, who got drafted to the NFL, went to UCLA, killed it. Blake Corum and who's the other running back? I'm forgetting, John.
You said Blake Corum. So Khalil Mullings, Donovan Edwards.
No. It was Zach Charbonnet. That was the 2020 season. Oh, Chris Evans.
2020 season.
Yeah, Chris Evans. It was a very
Hassan Haskins.
Yeah, and Hassan Haskins. Oh, that's 4 NFL caliber running backs in the room. And this one, in our running back room right now, is potentially as deep, so we'll see where it goes.
Yeah, I will also say, yeah, I'd look at Andrew Makuba as somebody, a senior over on the Texas side that Michigan fans should really watch. Maybe study a little bit because he's definitely had some impact these past, especially last year. I do want to encourage everybody to follow both of these guys on Twix. So Jackson has already put both of the Twix links up here. Definitely do that. They're giving their time to be here. So definitely thank them for that. I'm going to let our super chats lead us into the next topic, which is, of course, strength versus strength. Michigan's defense versus Texas's offense. And we've got a Michigan member, Nick, here with a $1.99 super chat, giving his take that Ewers will get picked off twice, one for a pick six. That's quite confident there.
Quinn is one thing. The one thing he doesn't do is turn the ball over. I think it took him 5 games last year to even record an interception. So I don't know. We'll see. He could. Listen, Michigan's defense is damn good, so I'm not going to say anything crazy.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Listen, I do think interceptions can happen, especially. So here's the thing with Wink Martindale, right? So he's very aggressive.
Blitz.
He is a blitzer, but also we have unique coverage designs, and because Lamar Morgan, who used to work with Jesse Minter at Vanderbilt, he's now the defensive backs guy. He knows all the little designs and disguises that we use. So I think we're going to see a nice hybrid of this defense that was already. So Wink Martindale, for anyone, for the Texas fans who are watching the show, Wink Martindale was actually the architect of this defense that we've been running for 3 years. He developed it with the Ravens. John Harbaugh went to Wink Martindale about 8 years ago and said, look, I need you to develop me a defense that is multifaceted and versatile and can not only defend the run, but also be elite in pass coverage. So Wink Martindale went to work for like 8 months to develop this defense. And then Mike McDonald, who we had for a year, who's now in the NFL and now is a head coach at Seattle, he evolved it. And then Jesse Minter evolved it even more. And now he's the defensive coordinator with Jim Harbaugh for the Chargers. But then we now have the OG, the architect, who is now the defensive coordinator for Michigan, which is Wink Martindale. So it's going to be and then the guys we brought in are all familiar with the scheme as well. So it's going to be very interesting to see the new evolution of this defense. It should transition well. I do expect us to get a lot of pressure, especially with the defensive line, with stunts and a bunch of disguises. I do think we're going to continue our coverage disguises as well. And our safeties our DBs are pretty much all returning. I mean, Will Johnson's returning. Too bad we lost Rod Moore to that ACL injury because that would have been that's major. But then we have Makari Page back there and others. So, yeah, our defense should be pretty damn dangerous. But Quinn Ewers is obviously one of the top quarterbacks in the nation this year, potential Heisman candidate. So, again, this is another one of those chess matches where we are looking at strength on strength, and it's going to be a very interesting matchup come kickoff.
Hey, Texas fans, go ahead and start super chatting because so far Michigan's got the edge here on the super chats. So Texas fans, go ahead and
that's why we're trying to grow the Texas channel, because too many damn Michigan and Ohio State fans.
Many.
Our community is the top community in the whole network, man. Like I'm not ashamed to say it. We got the best community. I love our community. I appreciate our guys, Justin and everybody, our new member earlier this show. And shout out to you guys. You guys always show out. And like I said, yesterday's show, appreciate you guys. You guys are number one.
Justin points out, and then we'll kind of go back to high level. But Justin points out, he says that once Ewers gets hit by Graham and Grant, Ewers is going to say he is hurt and can't play.
I mean, we do have the backup quarterback in the country. So do you want to see Arch Manning? I mean,
that's a good point.
He's now in the game, by the way.
Yeah, yep. And he got paid a lot to do it. So
yep. Hey, he's a Manning.
Yeah.
So Texas's offense against Michigan's defense. Let's be real here. Quinn Ewers. Anybody who doesn't know that he is an incredibly a good player. It just isn't paying any attention. 69% completion, nice. 69% completion is really great. And then obviously 3,479 yards, really great. So you got somebody who's spearheading that offense against Michigan's defense, as Justin points out. Graham and Grant, two of the best D linemen in the country. And Will Johnson, who was just named the #1 overall player in College Football 25's video game. So TJ, what do you think is just like what might be happening here in this strength on strength?
Yep, strength on strength, clash of the Titans. This is the matchup. I mean, listen, I think Michigan is going to come to play. I think our defensive line's nasty. We got Derek Moore, we got Josiah Stewart, all returning from last year's national championship team. We have depth with TJ Guy and others. And then our linebacker core, believe it or not, and this might be a shock to Texas fans because we lost some linebackers, but it may be stronger this year than last year because we added Jay Sean Barnum from Maryland, who was Pro Football Focus's #1 linebacker. We also have Ernest Hausman, who was one of the top freshman linebackers from Nebraska a year prior. He's already been a year in the system. They're both athletic freaks. And there's a lot of positive buzz out of spring camp. And then our DBs, listen, we got arguably, likely the #1 corner in the nation, and Will Johnson, who's going to be a top 5 pick, if not top 5, top 10. And if he can shut down half the field and Michigan can get its pressure, I mean, that's going to be the game changer right there. And listen, we got Makari Page, who's also one of the highest rated safeties in the nation. Unfortunately, we did lose Rod Moore. If we had Rod Moore, I'd feel even more aggressive about this matchup. But we do have a new safety that's going to be starting. That's going to be a camp battle, so I don't necessarily know who's going to be starting yet. And then, like Texas, though, our #2 corner position is going to be a battle, and it's going to be between Jair Hill, who's a very highly ranked recruit coming out of high school, top 100 type, and Amir Hall, who was All-American corner out of like FCS or D2 college, but he's an athletic freak, and I actually expect him to be pretty good. I think he will. His film looks great. Obviously, it's going to be a jump up in competition, but our #2 corner spot, like Texas, is going to be a bit of a question mark and a battle in camp. So that if you want to find a weakness in our defense, it could be the second corner. Outside of that, there is zero weakness in this defense. And we at the Michigan Channel actually think this defense might be better than last year's defense. And that's saying a lot because obviously it was national championship caliber, but we're just returning. The reality is we're returning our best players. I didn't even talk about Kenneth Graham, Mason Graham, it's arguably the best. You guys had the best duo last year at defensive tackle. We probably have it this year. And they're monsters, man. And then obviously Texas's offense, which I'll let you hit on it. But for me, Matt, there's question. Even though you have Quinn Ewers, and we've talked about this in the draft segment, the post-draft segment we did. The question for me is, listen, you have new wide receivers, you have new running backs, you have a new tight end. Like, yeah, your offensive line is sound. That is your strength. And that's what's going to be great, too, to see your offensive line versus our defensive line. That's going to be a hell of a matchup for all of us to watch. But your weapons are also questions because they're new. And, yeah, you may be reloading, but there is question marks there. And obviously, you do have one of the best quarterbacks in the nation. So the transition should be smoother. But it's still, to me, a bit of an unknown.
Yeah, I would agree that's a slight unknown. But yeah, you hit on the offensive line a little bit. We're returning 4 out of 5 starters from last year, and that people don't give Kelvin Banks enough love. The man has been a starting left tackle since his freshman year, and he's dominated. He's dominant. Wherever you look, he's going to be a top 10 pick in the NFL draft as long as he doesn't get hurt. I think there's a chance whoever lands the #1 overall pick, whoever is this year, there's a chance it's either Will Campbell or Kelvin Banks that they need an offensive lineman. So he's good. You have the left guard position is the one weakness. I'm not 100% sure who that's going to be. Could be Hayden Connor. Could be Neto Umuzumlu. Could be Cole Hudson, who played as a freshman too. I think he's the most consistent. I don't know if they like him with the upside enough. Jake Majors, obviously going to be the center. Been there a long time. Right guard, This guy was the #1 offensive lineman in the country coming out of high school in 2022. And by the way, that's with Kelvin Banks at the left tackle position in the same class. DJ Campbell, nasty. If he has a really good year, he could be a first or second round pick. Cam Williams, to me, when that class came in, I said he had the highest upside of anyone, and that's because he's 6'6", 350 pounds. He road grades people in the run game. His issue is in pass protection last year, and he wasn't bad. It's just compared to his run game ability, he wasn't as good. So offensive line, I really no concerns there. Running back, Steve Sarkisian has had 1,000-yard running back every year he's been an offensive coordinator, head coach. We're going to have 1,000-yard running back, rinse, wash, repeat. You had it with Bijan Robinson. You had it with Jonathan Brooks. You're going to have with either Jaden Blue or Cedric Baxter. Not to mention, if you want to go to our 3 deep, it's either Trey Wisner, he was a 3-star recruit. That man is really good. He's going to get some reps this year, or you can go to the #4 running back coming in out of high school, Jarrett Gibson. So no concern there. Like you said, you touched on the wide receivers. Obviously, Isaiah Bond from Bama, Matthew Golden from Houston, Silas Fulton, which I guess has been killing it since he's been on campus the last month and a half. Speed. That's the one word I got for him, speed. They are going to, I think you're going to see a lot of Miami Dolphins type schemes from this team, a lot of motion in the backfield, a lot of throwing behind the line of scrimmage, a lot of stretching the field vertically. You're going to have to tackle, because if one guy misses, all 3 of those guys can take it to the house. They're very fast. Tight end position, I kind of like even more this year because we have 2 guys. Gunnar Helm is more of your third down, find him on third down catch guy. Amari Niblack is, guess what? I'll line up versus your safety and I'll take him deep and I'll beat him. So I really like this offense. I like the speed of this offense. Like, if you look at Steve Sarkisian when he was at Alabama, that's what he wanted. He wanted 4 to 5 guys on the field that could just burn you to death. And Texas has that. Like, all these guys are fast. All these guys have decent hands. And I didn't even mention freshman Ryan Wingo, who 5-star guy out of Missouri.
Oh, we know about Ryan Wingo. we were following him on recruiting.
Yeah, he is apparently killing it. He keeps every video you watch of who's gets mentioned, Ryan Wingo, every time. #1 guy getting mentioned. He's going to be a stud here. I think he's the closest thing to A.D. Mitchell we have on the roster of the combination of size and speed. And that's the thing, too. A.D. Mitchell came in, and he had injury issues. There were questions, and he came in, produced, and fit in really well with Texas and ended up as a, second-round pick. So I think Texas is going to be pretty good at the wide receiver position. I'm not going to say great yet, because it is going to be hard to reproduce a Xavier Worthy and A.D. Mitchell combo. I think you can argue that was the best combination in the country last season. But do I think we're deeper there? I do think we're deeper. I think we go 5 to 6 deep there. But it's going to be fun. Your defense is loaded. I think this is probably for sure a top 5 offensive line for Texas versus the best defensive line in the country for Michigan.
Yeah, and that's what I mean. Like, this side, this matchup here is obviously, for Michigan offensively, Alex Orji's, that's going to be the X factor for us. But in terms of the game, this is the matchup. Your offense, our defense, your offensive line, our defensive line. It's going, and this is must see TV, man. This game is going to be epic. This is a heavyweight fight, man.
There's potential. Between those 2 groups, you could have 10 NFL players. That's a real possibility. That's insane.
The amount of NFL talent in this game is insane.
Yeah.
And Michigan fans know a thing or two about Isaiah Bond, because Michigan watched Isaiah Bond when Michigan played Bama. So Matt, I just looking at the numbers that both Xavier Worthy and Isaiah Bond put up. Xavier Worthy put up over 1,000, but Bond put up 888. Do you think that Bond is a suitable replacement when combined with the others? And even Wingo getting maybe sprinkled in here and there for Xavier Worthy, who, he did break a record at the combine. He got over 1,000 yards, but it seems like it's business as usual for Sark on the wide receiver front, right? Just in terms of high level of productivity.
Yeah, so I think Xavier Worthy was better at catching stuff in the backfield and breaking tackles and getting loose and also over the top. But I think Isaiah Bond's much better in the intermediate game. His route running slightly better. He's a much more smooth route runner and just pass catching ability. I think he has better hands than Xavier Worthy. And the drops by Xavier Worthy were wildly overblown. If you looked at the charts, they were
not high.
No, it's not. It was way overblown. But Bond's even better. So I think honestly, the guy I'm in love with and no one talks about is Matthew Golden. That guy, when we played Houston, killed us. 2 touchdowns, 70 yards receiving. This is the type of athlete he is. He had 20 kick returns last year, like that were able to be returned. He had 2 touchdowns. He is dynamic with the ball in his hand. That's the guy I think I would be most worried about for other defenses if like he catches it on a little screen or bubble screen or whatever happens there and they break the tackle. Like he's the type of guy that will take it to the house. He's got fantastic speed for his size. And then Silas Bolden also in the return game is going to be fun to watch. But yeah, I agree. I think Isaiah Bond can mimic what Xavier Worthy did in the offense. I don't think there's anyone that's going to be able to repeat that size or that speed because obviously the guy broke the combine record for the 40-yard dash, and I don't see anyone breaking that for a while, but we'll see.
And TJ, I have one for you too. So Texas had 9 fumbles, and ball security was a problem for Texas last year. Objectively, that's not me saying that; that's Lindy's. So TJ, who do you think on the defense might? Justin mentioned Stewart here, but who do you think on the defense might cause a problem for ball security for Texas there?
Jay Sean Barnum, bro. He's gonna lay the wood, bro. Like he is a playmaker at the linebacker position. He's going to be, in Michigan circles, the buzz out of camp is that this kid is potentially first round talent. He's definitely athletically first round talent. It's just can it translate to the field? We saw it at Maryland. He was definitely a high level player. Jay-Sean Barnum could be a problem for these running backs. And I know they plan on sending Jay-Sean Barnum on blitzes too, so he could get to Ewers. That'd be my player in terms of potential fumbles or forced fumbles. In terms of on the back end, I mean, I think we would all agree Will Johnson. But I mean, is Will Johnson going to shut down one side of the field? And if he does, are they even going to throw it to that side of the field? Because I'm going to be honest, if I'm Texas, I'm picking on the other corner. That's what I'm doing because they're not proven. Jair Hill's not proven. It'll be his first time starting. If he is, I think it's going to be Amir Hall who's going to start. But even so, Amir Hall is not proven at a Power 5 level or really a Power 2 level now. He's not proven yet. So that would be, like if I'm Texas and I don't know if we have this in the topics, but if I'm Texas, I'm doing quick throws to, try and evade the blitz. I'm definitely going to pick on the second corner in the defense. And I'm also going to maybe take some shots on our safety because outside of Makari Page, the other safety, I don't know if it's going to be Jaden Mangum or who's going to be the starter. We added 3 transfers on the back end, and because we lost Rod Moore and Keon Staub transferred to Alabama, so we took a little hit there. But those would be the weak points. Would be second, our other safety, our strong safety position, and then our second corner. But outside of that, there is no weak point. Which I know that sounds crazy, but again, we were a national championship defense. We're returning a lot, so yeah. And they're only getting, and Matt, a year older is a year better. So that's kind of where we are with that.
Yeah, for sure. Returning production is a cool stat and all, but if your returning production was crap, it really doesn't matter. Whereas Michigan's returning production, they're basically returning everyone on defense, and it was a fantastic defense. So it definitely matters. And yeah, Sark, I think the first 5 games of the year, literally the first play for the offense was a wide receiver screen. So it would not shock me if it's a wide receiver screen for Texas. He loves those, especially with the amount of speed you have. I think it'd be smart to do. And I didn't even mention Jaden Blue's speed. I think he's the fastest player on the team. That guy, acceleration's insane with him, whereas CJ Baxter's more of a consistent 5 to 6 yard guy. If you want a guy that could pop one, it's more Jaden Blue. But they do fumble. I mean, that's what cost us the Washington game. Everyone talks about that. We were getting on a drive, CJ Baxter fumbles. We were getting on a drive, Jaden Blue fumbles. So, I mean, those 2 guys do have fumble issues, and it kind of makes sense. I mean, CJ Baxter was a freshman last year. Freshmen tend to have fumble issues at the running back spot. So it'll be interesting. But I will say this, Sark, in games he has a long time to prepare for. He's got a whole offseason. He usually dials up some nasty stuff. So I know last year when we played Rice, he did nothing in that game, literally nothing. He ran the most vanilla offense you could possibly do. And then we were like, what the hell was that? And then he went to Alabama and opened up some stuff. And we're like, oh, you were preparing for Alabama the whole offseason. That makes sense.
I fully expect both teams to take week 1 pretty easy and not show the other team anything. That's the thing, John. We got to be prepared for that.
Real vanilla.
We're doing post game for our channel, and I'm going to be on. We're going to get some calls, and they're going to be like, Michigan, they're not going to be ready for Texas. Like, guys, you got to chill. They're keeping that under wraps right now. And Texas is going to do the same thing. Like, they're already right now. Like, listen, I guarantee the prep for Texas or the prep for Michigan is already been started, and they're already looking ahead week 1. Let's be honest.
Beat
100%.
Texas drills going on already. So anyway, so we've got 3, maybe 4 super chats to hit all on this topic. So so Justin, our boy Justin here, or at least 3, yeah. We got Stewart. Stewart is gonna ball out. Stewart has the speed and power. Texas is not going to be able to double team Michigan's D line.
Listen, Stewart and Derek Moore are going to be a problem this year. I mean, but let's just also be honest here. Texas's offensive line is going to be up for Joe Moore award-winning. They're a Joe award-winning offensive line caliber. Unlike Washington, which was a joke last year, we proved that. But Texas is legit. They do play big boy physical football. This isn't the Pac-12. So no, I mean, listen, it's going to be a matchup. But I'll say this. Because of Wink, and that's another thing too, there's no film on Wink Martindale, what he's going to do. Like, obviously there is NFL-wise, but not with our guys. And his creativeness in terms of blitz packages, I do think could potentially be a problem because, when you bring NFL complex blitz packages to the college level, these kids might not have ever seen this before. So that could be a real benefit especially with our level of skill at the defensive line. But again, I want to caution our fan base. We're going to go up against a legit offensive line that is probably going to be top 3 for Joe Moore Award finalist.
And honestly, if you would have said Grant and Graham versus our interior, I'd be more worried about that. I trust our tackles completely. I think that's our strength. I'm not that worried. I'm worried about center and guard combination versus those two guys.
You could send Josiah Stewart up the middle too, though. I mean, like,
true.
He doesn't have to go hit the, he doesn't have to go outside or any of that stuff. He could definitely run up the middle, go through the A gap or whatever. So, I expect a lot of creativity from Wink in this game. I really do.
Well, and I want to know too, because Sark was an offensive coordinator, obviously in the NFL. If he ever went up against Wink Martindale, I think that he could probably draw from experience on that, but I don't know if he ever did.
Yeah, Falcons versus Ravens. I feel like it's a couple of times they probably clashed. And I will say from an O-line perspective, John Madden said, games are won and lost on the offensive line. And with 4 returning starters in Texas, and really Cam Williams at 360 pounds, he's a big fella. And so I don't think there's going to be any problems on that O-line for you. That may help counteract a little bit of the home field advantage. Being in Ann Arbor, but we got 2 more $5, and then Nick's got another one too. Michigan D-line stunts and twists plus the size and speed on the whole D-line. TJ Guy, as TJ mentioned, is going to be a huge change of pace. Derek Moore.
Yeah, TJ Guy is the next name to know. Michigan defensive line. He's the next defensive lineman who's going to be a name this year. He's coming. He's well-rounded. He's extremely gifted. Great size, like 6'5", like 255 or something. He's going to be a problem. So, listen, we know we got depth. Not only are our starters strong, Michigan's known for rotating its defensive line. Let's not forget about Rayshon Benny either, who's a freaking savage. So, our defensive line looks extremely good. I'm optimistic about it. But again, we are going against a legit offensive line. Now, I'll say this, though. If our defensive line can make this offensive line look not as elite as we all think it is, then shit, boys, we're in for a hell of a year because we're really going to go against I really need to look at our schedule, but this might be the best offensive line we're going to face all year. It's not Ohio State. It's not USC.
Maybe Oregon, but Oregon's small. Look, they're not as big as we are, so I think that's a combination too.
And it ain't Washington because they lost all everyone transferred out or went to the draft. So, yeah, this is probably the best offensive line we're going to face all year. So, depending how our defensive line plays, that could be telling on our chances for the year. And like another thing I want to hit on, but I know we got some more topics, and I know we have more super chats, so I'll save it for later. But there's a question I have for all of us. And I'll save it for later.
Okay. So I think, Justin, you're thinking of Burton on this. But Michigan has seen Bond twice. First, he was at Georgia, then Alabama. You're thinking Burton, who spent 2 years at Georgia and then 2 years at Alabama. We shut him down under 100 yards.
And Isaiah Bond is much better than Jermaine Burton.
I would agree. I would agree with that. And then Nick, of course, Texas will be shook from all the freaky orgy action. Can always count on Nick for a good one. But I do want to ask. I do want to ask about impact, like picking your impact player. We've mentioned a lot of players here. I'm going to start Matt this time. Who do you think each impact player is going to be here?
So I came down to 3 for Texas, and it was Ryan Wingo, Jaden Blue, or Silas Bolden. I went with Ryan Wingo. I just think the combination of size and speed there is it's super unique, especially for a freshman to come in with that. He's already been tracking over 20 miles per hour in practice, which is really good for someone that size. And he's got great hands, good route runner, and he's just different from the other wide receivers. Like I said, the other guys are more speed guys. He's a more possession guy, but he does have the capability to beat you deep as well. So he's just special. And I think he's going to have an impact on this game. I really do. I think he's probably going to go in the rotation and end up one of the 4 guys that gets the most snaps in this game. And honestly, in the season,
like a Z maybe.
Yeah. I will say this: Sark loves 12 personnel though, so you're not going to see you would think a guy like that loves a bunch of wide receivers, 5 out, no running backs. He doesn't like to do that. So we'll see what he does this year. But just based off what he's done his whole career, he wants 2 tight ends in the game. So we'll see what he does.
Yeah, and since Matt went with 3 for his offense, I'll do 3 for our defense. And number 1's Will Johnson. That's my number 1 impact player, because if he can shut down one side of the field, and there may be some Texas fans being like, shut down. Could he really shut down one side of the field with Quinn Ewers? He is that type of player, guys. Like, I'm just like Will Johnson. There's a reason, and like, I know it's a video game, but there's a reason they made him the number 1 player in the entire game. And he's legit. He's legit. And he's gone against elite offenses from Washington to Ohio State. Like, it's nothing. He's gone against Marvin Harrison Jr. There's nothing he hasn't seen. So he's the number 1 impact player for me. My number 2 impact player is going to be Mason Graham, who's also looking like a potential top 10 draft pick. He's the best defensive tackle in the nation. He's a problem. And if he can get into the interior, like, Matt says is the weakness, then it's going to be a long day for Ewers, because if you can push the pocket, that disrupts an entire offensive flow. And then number 3 is going to be Jay Sean Barnum, because he's a freak, and he can not only disrupt the game in coverage, but also stopping the run, also getting to the quarterback. And that's all 3 levels. He's a linebacker. So that's our 3 impact players. And again, this is going to be a clash of the Titans. It's going to be the matchup we have here is a heavyweight bout. And like, that's the thing too. And I'll even ask this question. I was going to save it for later, but I'll ask it now. Whoever wins this game is going to feel damn good on the rest of the season, because it's going to be a game that not only propels you into a college football pitcher, like into the pitcher, but also you're beating an elite team regardless. So you're going to feel optimistic for the rest of the season, and it puts you on a good path. So Matt, you tell me, if you guys were to win, what would be the reaction from the Texas? Like, how would you feel if, let's say, Texas wins the game? What is the reaction post game from that?
That at worst we're going 11-1. Yeah, that's how I'd feel. I mean, Georgia's the only one, guys, and this really sets up. If Texas were to be able to go on the road and play and win this game, I think this defense is better than Georgia's defense this year. I really do. And I do. I don't think Georgia's defense is anywhere near. I think Michigan's clearly the best defense in the country. I really believe that. So if we were able to win this game and go on, I think we can get into it. Well, we won't get into it, but I'll get into it on the Texas channel. I think Oklahoma's magazines are in love with them. I don't understand it, but I think we beat them this year. And then it would set up potentially 1 versus 2 in the country down in Austin for Texas versus Georgia. That might be the most watched regular season game this year. Honestly, if that's 1 versus 2, it might come over Ohio State, Michigan. That'd be the only one that would come near it, in my opinion. That would be a hell of a game. It'd be a fun atmosphere. So that's where I would be afterwards. Obviously, if we lose, we can still make the playoff, but it'd be kind of hard to do because our schedule's it's not easy, but it's easier than some or most SEC schedules, so it'd be harder to do. But I do think if you just had a real playoff, there weren't these automatic qualifiers and everything, I think these are 2 these two teams are two of the 12 best teams in the country. That's where I'm at.
And I'll pick one of each. I'll pick Quinn Ewers and I'll pick Will Johnson.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So we do want to remind everybody that in 27 minutes on the main channel, we're going to have a Michigan-Ohio State deep dive with Mark Rogers, voice of college football, and Tony Altimore. So that's coming up at 8:30 p.m. Eastern. So with that said, let's get to our keys to the game. High level, what does each team need to win? TJ, we'll start with you.
Keys to the game is being responsible with the football. Turnovers are going to matter. This is the type of game you cannot have turnovers because it should be a close game. So for me, it's turnovers and then Michigan getting pressure on Quinn Ewers. If we can limit our turnovers and get pressure on Quinn Ewers, I think that is the path to victory for Michigan.
So mine are kind of weird. So if I want Alec Orji to throw the ball more than 24 times in this game. I do. So that's like 6 a quarter basically is what I think Michigan will like him, or under that. I think Texas wants him over that. I also think third down is going to be huge in the distance, especially. So like Michigan needs to live in the third down in 3 yards to third down in 5 yards. If it's anything over that, they're going to have serious issues in the defense in this game.
Yeah, Michigan's got to remain on schedule. I don't disagree because we don't. I think John would agree. Being in third and long consistently with Alex Orji. Now, can he complete a forward pass? Of course he can, but to do it consistently throughout a game, there's just an unknown. And until he can prove it, I mean, hey, if he can prove it, we'll find out. But we definitely need to be ahead of the chance.
For sure. And also for Texas, got to get better in the red zone. We talk about the offense. People need to go back and watch that Alabama game. We had 2 red zone possessions in that game where we settled for a field goal. One, we got stopped on fourth down. We could have won that game by 3 touchdowns if we just score points in the red zone. We were bad at that last year. So that's something Sark needs to be better at. That's something the players need to be better at as well. I think it was a lack of execution on certain throws by Quinn because that is his biggest issue is processing for the most part. But once that's his one thing, if he can hit on that, I feel very confident. And then also Sark needs to stop being so cute in the red zone. I think that's part of his issue.
Yeah, I remember that at the Falcons. He definitely was. That was definitely one of the things that caught him some flack at the Falcons. But I think you guys both make great points. Moose is asking, can he convert third and longs? I think I would expect to see Kirk Campbell draw up similar plays like against Alabama when they threw that chip shot to that short ball to Blake Corum. I expect Donovan Edwards to be utilized in a similar way. Texas won't be quite expected. Like they're going to be having a spot.
Oh, he froze on us. But anyways, I agree. I mean, I think what Michigan will do is, you could put Donovan Edwards in the slot. You can also split Colson Loveland out wide. We got Samaj Morgan too, who's our speed guy. We'll find out though. I mean, listen, it's not a position Michigan wants to be in. We do not want to be behind the chains. We have to stay on schedule. If Texas can consistently keep us off schedule, Michigan's offense it's gonna be a problem. There's no question about it.
Yeah, that's why I said that's one of the keys to the game. And it's kind of funny too now thinking about Donovan Edwards and Jaden Blue. Obviously, Edwards has way more experience, but they're pretty similar backs in that they're good pass catchers out of the backfield. They have burners. So, I think Sark kind of wants to do the same thing with Jaden Blue and get him in the slot and use him in the pass catching game as well.
I'm going to be intrigued if we unleash Cole Cabana because that's one of our little speed demons. He's one of those 10, 500-meter guys, and his high school tape's insane, but it's one of those things where he's not great in pass coverage. So he's not, they didn't really, obviously they redshirted him his freshman year. I'm interested to see if they use him as a secret weapon because he is that type of player. He's definitely an X factor type, but we'll see if this year he gets some run.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm just going to try to shut up from here on out, other than to just remind everybody that, like I said, we've got the deep dive coming up here, 23 minutes. We got Mark and Steve Dace coming up Thursday, tomorrow at 10 a.m. Eastern. TJ, you got your show with Dennis Fithian as the special guest Thursday, tomorrow at 8 p.m. Eastern.
Yep. So we got Dennis Fithian tomorrow on the call-in show. He's from Rivals, formerly of 97 won the ticket. He's one of the I would say larger voices in the Michigan community. So we're excited to have him. This should be a great show. We're definitely going to be talk recruiting. And actually, I'm going to put some breaking news out here for our community right now. I was going to wait till Thursday, but F it, we'll do it now. I am locking in Jaden Sanders. So if anybody wants to know, yesterday I was hesitant to lock in Jaden Sanders. I'm locking it in now. I was tempted to do it yesterday. EJ Hallam put in a prediction today. I'm not going to wait and be the last one to do it because of Thursday. So I'm locking in Jaden Sanders, and we'll have an update on that definitely on the Tuesday show, possibly tomorrow, depending on where the conversations take us. Had to get that public, bro. I was pissed I missed it because EJ took it today.
Lock it in, folks. And yeah, I've definitely seen some crystal balls and some confidence on that.
And I could have did it yesterday, and I was like, all right, that's got to wait for a little bit more intel. But hey, whatever. They got it in before I did, so it is what it is.
Yep, I'll be watching, probably trying to recover from my Atlanta trip. Because for those of you who didn't notice, I'm in a hotel, and that's why I keep cutting in and out a little bit. Matt, go ahead and let people know about the Texas Longhorns live show that you do every Monday.
Yep, so I'm here 7 p.m. Eastern time on the Texas show. Just join us, guys. I want to get the conversation more involved with you guys. I think it's more fun that way. I've been ranking rooms in the SEC as well, so that's been pretty interesting. I ranked the quarterback rooms, running back rooms, tight end rooms so far. Got a lot of hate. I've also had a video about Texas being more talented than Oklahoma because Parker Thune showed up on the Mark Rogers show and said Oklahoma has more talent than Texas this year, which was mighty big of him to say. But I have that out there as well on the SEC and Texas channel, so go give that a watch.
Well, we'll be watching. And for me, and here we go with predictions. So what do you think is going to happen? We'll start with Matt this time. Give your prediction. Wait, still 2 months away. I know that, and both of you have the right to change this. So I'm going to say that. But as of right now, what do you think is going to happen?
So, man, I'm going to pick Texas 21-17. I think it's a really good game. I think it goes down to the fourth quarter. But I think the combination of offensive line, quarterback, and coach coming back for Texas, and a lot of that being replaced for Michigan is the biggest factor in the game. I also think we'll be able to hold up enough. I'm not saying we're going to stop Michigan's defensive line because that's just not going to happen, but we're going to be able to hold up enough to give Quinn enough time to be able to attack them down the field, because I think that's what it's going to come down to. Honestly, you're not going to be able to move the ball, go on 12 plays drive versus this team. You're going to have to hit them deep, and I think the speed that we have, we're able to attack vertically and get enough points on the board and end up winning the game.
Yeah, so I am going to take Michigan 28-24. I don't know if either team gets to 30. I think it's going to be a tough game. I think Michigan is going to edge it out because us being at home is a big factor for me. It being so early in the season. Both teams are going to have a lot to learn in terms of chemistry with each other. They're only going to have one game under their belt. I do think the Quinn Ewers factor matters in terms of experience, but I also think Michigan being at home is going to pay dividends for us. And I think that's what's going to get us the victory. If this game was in Texas, because of our QB uncertainty, I don't know if I'd have the same score prediction, but because it is at home, I'm going 28-24. The boys in blue, go Michigan. Let's get it.
And I'm going to stay neutral as moderator today. But I think you guys can probably guess.
I think
you guys can probably guess. But with all that said, time for final thought and where can people find you, and then we'll send everybody off to the main channel with Mark and Tony, and we'll start with Matt again.
Yeah, so you can find me, like I said, on the Texas channel here. I'll sometimes be on the SEC channel. A lot of that stuff gets clipped and sent over there, so we're trying to grow that channel as well. It's almost to 1,000 subscribers. It's actually grown quite a bit in the last couple of weeks. So go over there and subscribe to that channel as well as the Texas channel. And then thank you, Jackson. That is my Twitter there. Follow me. It's 95% sports. There isn't much sports right now because obviously the offseason for Texas, but I do talk Texas over there. I know I'm going to get hate for this. I'm also a Yankees fan, so I'll talk that, but that's been rough the past couple of weeks, so I don't really talk them right now. And then I'll throw in a Broncos thing once in a while, but I don't expect us to have a good year there either. So it's mostly Texas over there.
And there it is. And we do have, before we will get to TJ in just a second, but Justin has super chatted us with his prediction, 27-14. How about that? What? How about that, TJ?
Hey, I mean, listen, if that's the score and that's our post game, I'm gonna tell you, we haven't even discussed this yet, but I'm drinking, boys. We're celebrating. We're gonna have a good time. I'm getting a 12-pack too. I don't give a shit. We're going hard in the paint then. But yeah, I mean, hey, we're gonna find out. As of today, July 10th. Yeah, that's correct. July 10th. I'm thinking we got it, boys. But we have fall camp, and we're gonna find out who wins the quarterback battle. We're gonna see the Fresno State game, and there's a lot of time between now and then, so we'll see where it goes. Looking forward to it though, and thank you, Justin, for your super chat. We appreciate you always. Everybody, Nick, everybody who's contributed to today's show, appreciate you. The #1 community and the voice of college football network. Nobody can tell me otherwise, and if they want to tell me otherwise, prove it, because I don't believe you.
Also, Justin said something earlier. You're not going to be able to get to it, but he asked if Texas should have a hockey team. We, in fact, do have a hockey team. It is our second year coming up this year for hockey, so we got them on the ice too. Yeah.
D1 varsity? Oh, no shit. Yeah. Okay, I didn't even know that.
We just got it.
Yeah. Well, that's sick. Yeah.
Sick. The uniforms are sick, but I don't know how good they are.
Yeah, well, they'll build it. I mean, look, Arizona State got a team recently, and Penn State just built their team. I mean, I love college hockey, so that's interesting. I'm going to pay more attention to
that. And you can find me at John Diadamo on Twix, and I'll be back at my regular setup next Tuesday for Michigan Wolverines Live. Thank you all for bearing with me tonight. It does look like Mark and Tony are starting early, so I guess they got their Red Bull in, and they're getting over. So head on over, hit the like button on your way out. Head on over to the Michigan-Ohio State deep dive. Jackson or somebody, if you don't mind posting the link one more time. Thank you all so much for tuning in, and subscribe to both channels. Subscribe to the Michigan channel. Subscribe to the Texas channel. And until next time, thanks everybody for stopping by.
Go Blue.
Thank you, guys.
Horns down.
You'll get a penalty.